Yes guys, welcome back to the 1010 Performance YouTube channel. Today we're going to be talking about intensity in training. So this lesson is going to be about understanding how hard we should be working whilst in the gym, how to measure our intensity using the RPE scale, and how our body adapts to training over time. Okay, I think it'll be helpful to start with RPE to help make things nice and clear as we go through the lesson. So RPE stands for rate of perceived exertion. Now this is a scale from 1 through to 10 to help us understand how difficult a piece of exercise is. It's very simple, but it might sound a little bit confusing from the name. So if we class ourselves as RPE 1, it's totally easy, we can do it all day. As we progress through that scale, 5 is going to be somewhat comfortable, you can maybe do it for a couple of hours. As we progress into the higher end of the scale, number 7, we'd say that's quite difficult. And number 10 would rank as failure. Now this is totally subjective. These are just little descriptions that I would say if I was using the RPE scale. But generally, 1 is totally easy, you could do it all day, and 10 is going to be absolute failure. So a little example would be a 1 rep max bench press. If you load up with all the weight you possibly can, you do 1 rep and it's super slow, but you just get there, then that's going to be an RPE 10. If you maybe finish it, but have, let's say, 2 reps left in the tank, that's going to be an RPE 7 or 8. It's totally up to what you feel. So we use it to quantify intensity across any training type. And the way that you would log it would be the weight times the reps times the RPE. So if you have a little notepad or system on your iPhone, you would type in 60 kg times 8 reps times the RPE, which is going to be something between, I'm guessing, 6 to 10. Now there are other RPE scales that you can use from 1 through to 20 and also from 6 through to 20. The one that I use for my clients and my members is 1 through to 10 to keep it nice and easy and nice and simple. Okay, how hard should I actually be pushing? Well, it depends on your goal. If it's a strength or muscle building based goal, then you can probably push pretty hard for 4 or 5 days across the week because you can recover whilst you train other muscles. If our goal is running or endurance focused, there's going to be a lot of lower body involvement, meaning that we might not be able to perform very well if we're constantly under full stress. You want to think about pushing hard enough to stimulate progress, but not so hard that external fatigue compromises the quality of work. Okay, I've got 2 examples to go over it a little bit deeper. The first example is 3 sets of 30 reps for your back squat. So if this person was looking to work on their quads, then what's going to be the limiting factor here? Well, 30 reps is quite a high target to aim for. Before our quads burn out, our lungs are probably going to take a decent bit of the hit. If we get to rep 25 on the second set and the quads have a little bit of energy left, but we can't cardiovascularly get to the end of that set, then the limiting factor is going to be the lungs and not the legs, which means we're not going to be stimulating progress in the legs, meaning that we're not focusing on building muscle. Now, if that confused you too much, we've got another example down below. If you're doing a running session on the treadmill and you decide to turn that speed right up to a pace that's a lot higher than you can hold on to, then what's going to be the limiting factor? Well, you've never ran this pace before in your life, your technique's going to break down, stress is going to shift to the back and to the knees because we're holding on for dear life to get to the end of the distance. We're not going to be stimulating progress in our lungs here, we're going to be breaking our body down and not being able to get that return. So 3 sets of 30, a little bit too much reps, we'd maybe drop that down to something like 8 to 10 reps at a heavier weight to help finish off those quads. And running too fast is a very, very simple change. We slow it right down to a controlled pace that we can cover for the distance or for the time we're running for to help us stimulate progress. Right, section 3, how do you actually force your body to adapt? You might have heard the term shock the muscle or confuse the muscle. Here is what actually happens. So this black dot over here is going to represent where we're starting at, okay? This is our baseline. This is what we've got built already going into the workout. The green dot is the start of the workout. As we work through it, we're slowly depleting our muscles, breaking down the muscle fibers until we hit a rate of depletion, okay? This is where we're rock bottom after the workout. We start making our way back up to baseline after a couple of days, 48 hours into the recovery process. We're not quite at the baseline, so if we then go back into a workout with the same muscles, we're going to drop ourselves way back down. So all we're doing here is counteracting our progress. If we give ourselves just an extra day to get past that baseline and fully recover, then we've now got a new baseline which sits higher than the one that we went into previously to the workout. So how it flows, we do our workout, we slowly deplete our muscles and break down those muscle fibers After a couple of days of training, we start to build back to that baseline until we finally get up and above and create a new one to work with, okay? And now what happens when we're on a new baseline is we've built a little bit of muscle, we've built a little bit of durability, and now we can go into the next workout stronger. So as we said, if we come back into training too early, as in 48 hours, all we're doing is creating that baseline lower and lower and lower. But if we just take that one extra day to be patient, we're now making those little progressions after every week. Should every session feel progressive? Well, we want to think about progressive overload, and this is where we gradually increase the demand we put on our body across our sessions. When you start, almost everything becomes a quick response. You have brutal DOMs, you have quick gains, and there's noticeable changes straight away. Everything is new stimulus. Your body is reacting rapidly. Over time, those adaptations do start to slow down, and that's completely natural. It's part of the cycle. DOMs reducing doesn't mean progress is stopped, it just means your body's adapting to the stimulus. To keep progressing, sessions need to continue providing enough stimulus. This could be slightly more weight, maybe a mix of rep ranges, and even a little change of tempo. Every session doesn't need to feel brutal, but it has to be progressive. As we get deeper into a training program, we pass week 1, we pass week 4, and gains and DOMs do start to slow down. Now this is a natural point where motivation starts to drop down, and you start to see a couple people drop out of their training program. This is a totally natural part of the cycle, like I mentioned. You will start with a rapid response, but that naturally drops down, and you just have to continue to be consistent, follow the simple procedures, and be progressive. Okay, so section 5, we're going to talk a little bit about why copying the pros is going to take you to burnout. Now, it's really important when we think about intensity, we don't get it mixed up with volume. The pros have years of adaptation behind them. Their body has been built up to handle the workload over time, and it's going to be considerably higher volume than a beginner's. But that doesn't mean that one program is going to have more progress than the other. If you have a look on the left, we've got the beginner program where we have a couple little rest days in between our sessions. On the right hand side, our advanced program is totally stacked throughout the week. Now, if we look at the programs, and we'll start with the advanced one. On Monday, they've got a strength session in the morning and a run in the evening. If we flick back a page and we look at the level of DOMs we get as a beginner trainer, then this level is going to be pretty high across those first couple of weeks. So coming into a run off the back of a strength session with extreme DOMs is going to be very uncomfortable. It's probably going to push you to fall off the wagon. Now, as a beginner, the better guideline would be to do your strength session on the Monday, give yourself a little bit of time to recover, and then Wednesday come back into a little bit of work. The same goes as we follow down the stacked workout. We've got another double session on the Tuesday, another double session on the Thursday, and the only rest day being the Sunday. Now, like I said at the start, it's important not to get mixed up with volume and intensity. This might seem like a lot of volume for an advanced athlete, but this is how they reach intensity. If we think about a runner, for example, now running is a very impactful sport. It's a high number of strides that you take, constantly placing impact on the joints. If a high-level runner is constantly working at their race pace, then they're going to be breaking their body down very quickly. So what we do by gathering a little bit of volume is we start to pre-fatigue the body a little bit so that we can work at a slightly lower rate than our real race day performance. So by doing a strength session in the morning, we're going to be compromising those legs to then go into a run in the evening. As that week goes on, we finally come up to a track workout on Saturday where we've got around 6 or 7 sessions that we've collected through the week. So we're actually just putting the last little bit of our energy into this session before a rest day, and we repeat for the week. So it's really important as we come into training as a beginner that we don't try and follow an advanced plan. The beginner plan is going to give you loads of gains, it's going to give you lots of DOMs, so make sure you're careful for that. And the advanced plan is a lot more tailored to someone who's a high performing athlete. So the call to action on today's video is intensity. If you're interested in getting one-to-one tailored coaching to help through your performance, help you reach the right levels of intensity and gather the right amount of volume, then comment intensity under this video or follow 1010 Performance on Instagram, Facebook or TikTok and drop us a little message there. Thank you very much for watching. Catch you in the next one.